Hey there, Becky here from Inside the Square, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am super excited to introduce you to a brand new feature available in Squarespace known as Squarespace Courses. That's right, we can finally host a course directly on the Squarespace interface using this brand new feature. Courses are compilations of chapters and then lessons. Each lesson can have a unique video and all kinds of other content you could possibly want. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to set up your very first course in Squarespace step by super simple step. We have a lot to cover, so I put some chapters or timestamps in the description below so you can jump ahead if you want to at any point in time because again, a lot to cover. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Here we are inside Squarespace, and before I go any further, I do want to mention this tutorial is specific for version 7.1, the latest version of Squarespace. Now in this video, I'm going to be covering an overview of course structure, how it's set up inside the interface. We'll talk about adding and editing content, and we'll get into some layout and design options. Now this overview, it covers a lot of topics, and I've got some tinier tutorials about individual aspects of courses available in my free course on courses. So if you want to check out a live Squarespace course and interact with it, head on over to insidethesquare.co/course to learn more. Now let's start with the course structure. A Squarespace course is a type of collection page, and inside that course you'll find chapters. These chapters have individual lessons. Now your course itself has a URL, and then each lesson has a URL, but these chapters, they work just like a folder. So if you've ever used a folder in your Squarespace navigation, you understand that it doesn't have a URL or any real data associated with it other than its name. Inside a Squarespace course, we have these chapter folders with lessons inside of them. Now these lessons can have videos and standard page sections, and each lesson has a title and a URL. Let's go ahead and create our first course so we can see what this content looks like. We'll add and edit some content and adjust the design. I want you to click on Website on the top. Inside Squarespace, click on Website, and then in the Not Linked section of your site, click on this plus sign, and at the very bottom of Collections, you'll see the new feature, Course. Click on Course, and here you'll be given the option to select two of these pre-made layouts. These are all super customizable, just like any Squarespace 7.1 template, so let's go ahead and start with this first one. We'll start a consulting business. Clicking on that will place this course collection inside the Not Linked section of my site, and you can see by this little icon that it's a course. We'll go ahead and call this New Course. And now it's been created in the Not Linked section of our site. Let's go ahead and click into this new course, and we'll check out all of the content and settings inside. Your first option is pricing plans. We're going to leave this course as free. There are lots of details there that we're not going to cover. This video is about the actual content of the course. So let's go ahead and start with the course settings. I'm going to click on this gear icon right here, and we'll see the course settings menu. Here we can change the name of the course. We can give it a summary. Now this summary will be visible in different aspects of a Squarespace site, depending upon how you display this course. It will also be visible to anyone who creates an account to access it, so keep that in mind. Then we have navigation title. This is what will show up in your main menu when we add it to the menu. Then custom URL. When you want to send someone to your course, they'll type in your domain and then / whatever your custom URL is. And then underneath that, we have enable page and password. Now, I strongly recommend disabling the page while you're adding and editing content to your course so no one can access it unless they can edit your Squarespace website. So I strongly recommend disabling the page until you're ready to launch your course to the world. You don't want anyone accidentally finding it. Now, last but not least, I did say password. Password here is set up for the entire course. We're not talking about someone creating an account to access the course. To do that, we would add this course to a members area. A password means that there's one password that anyone in the world can use to access the course when it's enabled. But we'll go ahead and leave it disabled so we can edit the course, and then we'll toggle that back on when we're ready to launch it to the world. Now, if the course is enabled, you can actually set it up as the homepage of a website if you'd like to, or you can delete the page and start from scratch. Now, on the left-hand side of course settings, we've got one more option, and that's advanced. This is where you add page header code injection in case you want to add any custom code to the entire course. I'll go ahead and select save and show you one last time. Click on this gear icon next to your new course, and this is where you can add the name, summary, navigation title, URL, and toggle off the option to access this course until you're ready to share it with the world. We'll go ahead and select Save, and let's take a look at this overview page. Here we'll get into the layout and design. Clicking on Edit, I want you to notice at the very top, this image is actually a page section. That's right, we can add page sections both above and below the course content. So this course content is an outline of all of the content of our course. It displays the title, a brief introduction, and the Start Course button, followed by a progress bar, chapters, lessons, all kinds of information. But again, we can add a page section above or below. You can actually add multiple. If you select Add Section, you can add any type of page section you want, even saved sections on your website. And yes, these include Fluid Engine sections, so we can edit mobile separately. Add these above or below the course overview section. Now, if we select Edit Layout here, you'll see we can toggle on or off the title, description, or course button. And then we have the course outline options where we can toggle on lesson thumbnails. And we also have the option to toggle off that excerpt if all we want to show is the images and the title. Now, you might be wondering, what is this 11 right here? That 11 actually stands for 11 seconds. That's the length of the video that has been uploaded for this lesson. That metadata will show up automatically if you add a video to the lesson. Now, above that for the chapter, this metadata right here will automatically total the number of lessons and the length of the videos in those lessons. That information is added automatically here inside Squarespace. Under Design, this is actually where we're going to change things about the spacing in the actual site itself. The colors and fonts we change in the Site Styles menu. So let's stick with the Design tab here. We've got vertical padding, small, medium, and large. And I make the top padding gigantic. It's going to push everything down super low, way too low. Let's pull that back a little bit. This top padding changes the distance between the title and the bottom of the page section above it. And if you don't have a page section there, adjust the distance between the title and the header. And then bottom padding, if we scroll all the way down here, that changes the distance between the bottom of this course overview and any section or footer underneath it. All right, let's hop back and edit layout. There are a few other things to check out here. Under the Design tab, we've got the width for the course header. That's the title, description, and Start Course button. We can change that to small, medium, or large. And spacing here adjusts the distance between the title, description, and Start Course button. Alignment will change all three of those elements to be left, center, or right. We'll move those back. And then we have Course button. This is set to the primary button, but you can change this to secondary or tertiary, and it will match the site styles that you have assigned to that specific button. Underneath all that, we've got three more options. Your course outline. We can add a little bit of space between this progress bar and the chapter underneath it. Let's go ahead and make that large. And if we scroll down here, we also have course content spacing. Small, medium, and large. This is going to change the spacing between each chapter. Now let's go ahead and hop out of that edit layout option because I have a few more things to show you about this course overview page before we move on. Again, we've got the title, description, and Start Course button. This description right here is not a part of the settings for the course. This is added to the page manually, and it doesn't show up anywhere else in Squarespace. It'll just be on this page. Now, underneath that, we have a progress bar. This progress bar will keep track of the user progress as they make their way through the course. They can check off any lessons they've completed and keep an eye on that progress bar. As soon as they're checked off, it will track their progress through the course. Pretty awesome, right? This will also show up in the side navigation, which I'll show you when we get into lessons. Last but not least, I wanted to show you that you can actually minimize the chapters here because these work as accordions. If you click on a chapter title, it'll expand to show the lessons underneath, but you can also close that chapter title to make this a little more minimal of a layout. I'll go ahead and select Save for changes. We'll exit this edit mode right here, and let's click into the course content because I'd love to dig into lessons with you. Here inside the course content, you'll see all of the lessons and chapters that we have inside this course. Now again, each one of these chapters acts like a folder. If I click on these three dots right here and select Edit Chapter, the only thing I can change about a chapter is the title. It doesn't have a URL. It doesn't have a thumbnail. It doesn't have anything other than a title that we can make anything we want. I'll go ahead and select Save, and now that chapter title is reflected here on the course overview page. And if we click into a lesson, let's take a look at an individual lesson, we'll actually see the chapter title above the lesson title. Now, before we get into all the fun stuff on this lesson page, I do want to let you know your course content is a drag and drop editor just like the rest of Squarespace. Let's say you start lesson 1 all the way down to your chapter 3 and you think, oh gosh, this is actually lesson 1 for the first chapter. Let's go ahead and drag this all the way up to the top, and we'll move this lesson 1 all the way down to chapter 3. Again, drag and drop lessons between chapters, just like you do pages inside your main navigation. If we click on these 3 dots for a lesson, we have the option to edit, duplicate, and delete. And I want to bring this to your attention because I think it's really, really important. Delete does not put the lesson in the trash can. It actually deletes it. Let's go ahead and take a look at this second lesson right here in chapter 3. If I select delete, it'll say, are you sure? And I'll say delete. And if we go back to our main website menu and we scroll down to the trash can, that lesson is nowhere to be found. That really does delete it. So it doesn't act like a deleted page. It's gone for good. So be super duper careful there, okay? All right, let's click back into our course. We'll click back into course content, and let's take a look at lesson 1 in our first chapter here. I'm going to go ahead and rename the title of this chapter so we don't get confused. We'll call this chapter 1 and select save. All right. Now, inside this first lesson, let's take a look at the lesson page, and then we'll edit the content and layout. Inside this first lesson, we've got the title of our course, and then a complete and continue button. As soon as someone clicks on that button and marks their progress, not only does it take them to the next lesson, but if we go back to lesson 1, it actually says, next lesson. It already notices that I've completed that lesson. Now, on the right-hand side of lesson, you'll see this option right here. This is actually your sidebar or your course navigation. If we click on this, it will expand the menu that shows you all the chapters and lessons of the course. We will totally get into customizing this later. I just wanted to show you where it was. All right, so again, it's at the very top. Course title, the next lesson option, or complete and continue option, and then the sidebar. All right, underneath that, we have the video that has been uploaded for this lesson. And if you scroll down here, you'll see the chapter title and the lesson title. Underneath that, we have standard page sections. That's right, we can add page sections to individual lessons. Before we hop into edit mode to change this content and layout of all the fun stuff on the right, let's talk about the lesson settings. I'm going to select Edit Lesson, and here on our General tab, we have the title, the excerpt, which we can toggle on or off for the course summary, and then the custom URL. Each lesson gets its own URL. Then we have the thumbnail option, which again shows up as a square inside the course overview and the sidebar if we decide to enable it there. We also have a video tab where we can upload a video for the specific lesson that will display at the very top of the page. I do want to mention you can upload a video or you can add a link from YouTube or Vimeo, and you can also toggle that option off. You don't have to have a video for every lesson. We'll go ahead and toggle it back on because there's one more setting here, your custom featured image. This image will load as a placeholder until someone clicks play on that video. This is where you can add that image. Now, under status, you might recognize these options from a blog post. These match the style of how we can schedule or publish a blog post in a Squarespace website. Instead of deleting a lesson, because as you know, that actually removes it, you can actually change a lesson to draft if you're not sure if you want to keep it. So I strongly recommend doing that if you're considering deleting a lesson just to make sure it doesn't go away forever. You can turn it on to draft. Otherwise, publish your lesson to make it live or schedule it for a different date and time. So again, those are all of the settings for the individual lesson. We'll go ahead and leave this one published and select save. And how we got to that option was clicking on the 3 dots right here next to the title and selecting Edit Lesson. We have covered a lot of content in this tutorial so far, so just a quick reminder for some bite-sized lessons and other content related to creating a course on Squarespace, head on over to my very own free course on courses at insidethesquare.co/course. And if anyone happens to be keeping a tally on how many times I've said the word course inside this tutorial, let me know in the comments because I'm pretty curious. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the layout and design options for a lesson inside your Squarespace course. Now that you're familiar with the layout and all of the settings, let's actually hop into edit mode and change the way the content is displayed in this lesson. Immediately when I hover over the lesson video, we'll see Edit Video and Edit Layout. If you click on Edit Video, this actually takes you to the same options you had in the video section of the lesson settings. You can toggle on or off the ability to even show a video. And if you do decide to show one, you can replace it by uploading a new one or adding a Vimeo or YouTube link. And then again, have a custom featured image enabled. This matches all of those settings we just talked about. Now, our other option that showed up here, whoops, didn't mean to press play. There we go. Our other option that showed up here was edit layout. If we click on edit layout, this is where we can start to customize the design. The first option are the lesson buttons, are complete and continue, which again, sometimes will say next lesson if it's already been completed. For desktop and mobile, we can assign separate button styles. I prefer to do secondary or primary button for desktop, and then select tertiary for mobile, so it's a little bit smaller for smaller screens. After that, we have course navigation. That's that sidebar. We can place that on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side. Personally, you'll see in my own course, I prefer on the left-hand side right next to the title because I don't want to distract anyone from their complete and continue option. Underneath that, we can toggle on the lesson thumbnails. Now, why is this course navigation here inside the lesson design? Why doesn't it have its own menu? The course navigation only shows up on a lesson. That's the only place that this option right here will exist. So that's why we see this option for edit layout. I also should mention all of the changes we're making to the design for this lesson apply to the design for every lesson in the course. Important information to know. All right, let's actually go ahead and close that sidebar. We'll open up edit layout again. I'll pull this to the center and let's scroll down a little bit because we've got some more options here. For lesson elements, you can select the spacing of small, medium, or large, or click on those three dots like I had enabled, and here we can manually adjust the spacing. Now the header spacing, if we move this slider over to the right, you're going to see a big difference between the bottom of the video and the top of the chapter. That's what the header that it's talking about. After that, we have chapter name spacing. It changes the distance between the chapter name and the lesson. Check this out. There we go. And then we have lesson title spacing. That's going to change the distance between the lesson title and the very bottom of the section. Now, if we increase this, you'll see that blue line moves just a little bit lower. Our last option here is to toggle on a divider. Now, you should be very familiar with this. It works the exact same way as it does with standard page sections, all types of divider options, everything we've seen before. This is the exact same we have for standard page sections in Squarespace. So those are the options we have for layout. After that, we can select colors, and this is where we get into color themes. And again, anything you apply to this lesson will apply to all of the lessons in the entire course. Now, I just want to show you really quickly, underneath all of this content, that's where we have these page sections that we've added. You can add multiple page sections here. You can rearrange them. You can select edit section and do all the things we usually do with page sections, change the color theme, add some blocks of content, super duper customizable. But at the very, very bottom, we're going to see that footer with the complete and continue button. At the time of recording this is not customizable. There isn't anything else we can add or change to this footer of the lesson. This is exactly the way that it's set in all of the lessons in my course. Now, if I hover over this, you'll see this is actually the footer of my website. I only have 2 sections here in my demo site, but this will match the footer of your own website at the very bottom of the lesson. I'm talking about this lesson footer, a unique aspect just to lesson pages that only contains the complete and continue button. Okay, let's get into the site styles, one of my favorite parts of editing Squarespace. I'm going to click on this paintbrush icon to open our site styles menu. We have font and color options for lessons and the course overview. Let's go ahead and start with fonts. I'm going to click on fonts and I'll scroll down to the bottom here and select Assign Styles. Scrolling all the way down to the bottom of these options, you'll see Course Lesson, a whole new section of fonts for us to play with. Now, right above that, we also have Course Overview. So regardless of what you're changing about the course, when you select Assign Styles, just scroll all the way to the bottom. It's the quickest way to get there. All right, since we're on the lesson page, let's talk about the course lesson. This is, again, where we edit the side navigation. This only shows up on lessons, so that's where we make those changes. And then after that, we have the course name specifically on mobile. I recommend clicking into this and making sure it matches the right size so it looks good on a smaller screen. And again, we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom. Then we have chapter name and lesson name. To be clear, this is the course name. And let's scroll down. This is the chapter name. This is the lesson name. Everything in these page sections, that matches the standard page section settings. So this right here, this is assigned to a standard heading text. This font underneath it, it's probably a paragraph. Yep, paragraph text. All of these will work with what's in your site styles menu. The things that we're changing inside the course lesson font option are these options up here. So again, we're inside our fonts menu. We're going to select Assign Styles, scroll all the way down to the bottom. There we go. And we can edit the side navigation, the course name, which is this. Course name on mobile, strongly recommend changing the size there. And then we can also edit the chapter name and the lesson name. A quick example, let's say I want this chapter name to be a completely different font. I can click into chapter name, and instead of a heading style, I can actually say custom. And then here, I can pick any font family I want from the list of fonts on Squarespace. Let's go for Lobster or Brushland, or select Browse All Fonts, and I can search for something completely different that I haven't used anywhere else on my site yet. Super customizable. We'll go with this superscript one so we can see, yep, that's what it looks like. Not a fan. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm actually going to say, let's go ahead and match the heading for. Okay, now we're set. That covers it for fonts. Let's talk about colors. I'm navigating back to my main site styles menu, and I'll select colors. And if we scroll up here, you'll see the lesson has been assigned the lightest one color theme. Again, the page sections underneath, those are just standard page sections. They can have any color theme. But the lesson here, this will be the same for all lessons in my course, and it's been assigned the lightest one. I'll click into lightest one, and we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom. And here we see the options for course lesson. Again, starting with that side navigation and then border color. That's the border at the bottom of the lesson. Let's go ahead and open up the side navigation, and we'll change this background color to something other than a vibrant green. I'll click on this circle, and I can grab any custom color that I want, or I can hop into the palette and grab a color that I'm already using on my site in my color palette. We have the background color, the text color, and this part's one of my favorites, the active lesson background color. I love that Squarespace gave us this option. We can change this to be a different color so it's really obvious what lesson we're using, and then of course change the active link color there so the text that displays can be modified to match the background style. So let's say our side background navigation is actually super dark, and we want the side text color to be super dark. Well, we want the exact opposite for active, and we can set that up using our Site Styles menu. Now that we've set up some colors for our course lesson, let's go ahead and save our changes. We'll exit out of here, and let's hop back to our main course overview page and see what kind of Site Styles option we have here. I'm going to open up the Site Styles menu. We'll start with fonts. Scrolling down to the bottom, I'll select Assign Styles. And again, all the way down to the bottom, here's where we'll find Course Overview. All right, we can change the name, the description, the chapter name, the chapter metadata. That's that calculated data that I was telling you about right here. Oops, let's select Show All. I clicked on something I shouldn't have. We'll scroll all the way down. There we go. Then we can also change the lesson name, the excerpt, and the lesson metadata. Super duper customizable, just like I showed you in the last option here. We can click into any of these, and you can select a custom font or maybe grab one of the other fonts you already have on your website, like maybe a heading 4 would be perfect for that lesson name. Or I want something completely custom, I can click on this, grab any font family from one that's already assigned on my site, or select Browse All Fonts. I've got a lot of different options there. I'm going to go ahead and go back to a basic heading that I had, and perfect. So let's go ahead and talk about colors. Hopping back to our main Site Styles menu, if I select colors, here we can see that I also have lightest one assigned to this course. Let's go ahead and change that so we can get creative here. I am going to be in edit mode. Here in edit mode, I'll select edit layout, and under colors, this is where I'll change the color theme. Let's go for this gray one. There we go. That's my bright 2. Now back here in the Site Styles menu, I'm going to hop into colors, and it says, hey, this is assigned bright 2. So I'll scroll down to that option, and now we can edit the colors for the chapters underneath. I'll go ahead and select Show All. I clicked on something that narrowed down the list. Let's just scroll all the way to the bottom. There we go. Now here, I'm going to make the lesson and chapter background solid white, and then I'm going to need to change the text. We'll make that darker gray. There we go. And let's take a look at the progress bar. That looks okay, but I think it can be a little bit different. Let's go ahead and change that progress bar to, how about a different shade of that darker gray so it really stands out? That looks good. All right, the chapter divider is set to that vibrant blue, but I'm not using it anywhere else on the site. Let's go ahead and make a custom color. We'll make it a vibrant purple. There we go. Again, super duper customizable for all of these colors that you want. Now you may be wondering, why can't I change the Continue Course button? That's because this is assigned to match the style that I've already assigned inside my Site Styles. When we scroll down just a little bit, we'll see the button Options. Here, I believe I have that set to primary button. If we click on this, that's where we can actually change it. I believe I have that set to secondary button. If I click on this circle, that's where I can actually change the color. But this is going to change the secondary button color for every single secondary button that's being used in a bright 2-color theme. This is not unique to my course. So be really careful if you're editing anything that isn't at the bottom of this list, listed inside the course overview or the course lesson section. We just covered so much content, but there's one last thing I wanted to teach you before we call this a wrap. When you're done with your course, hop back into the settings for your course and go ahead and toggle on that enable page option and select save. When you're ready, you can drag this course up to your main navigation to share it with your audience, or if you have a members area, you can place it there as well. And that's it for your overview of Courses, a brand new feature available in Squarespace as of late August 2023. Now, I've got a lot of other resources to help you create and customize your very own course in Squarespace listed in the description below, so definitely check those out. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a like and let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and most importantly, have fun with your Squarespace website. Bye for now.